None of you are residents of the island. Where did the idea from Cycle for Checkpoint come from?
So it originally started as a Emrys came to me one day. He's like, "Do you want to do a cycle around Gran Canaria?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" Because
What's the worst that can happen?
yeah, it's an adventure. And then when we originally started looking around Gran Canaria itself, we've been coming here for a few years now, and I speak for myself. I'm not sure about Emirates, but I discovered my chosen family, and it feels like a home I've never had, and I wanted to give back to the community in some shape, way, or form. I'm HIV and undetectable, and working with a charity that does that in another country is really beneficial. I come from South Africa originally. We didn't really have easy access to information or treatment. It was very expensive. So being able to now later on in my life give back to the community in that way and help others not go through some of the trials that I had to endure is really meaningful to me.
Do you think it was easier last year when people didn't know you, or this year that you are carrying the title?
Well, last year was easier because of the route we chose. Certainly less of a climb. But in this year, it's also been easier with the support from everyone on the island, from SLFC, from Checkpoint, from just our community on the island. Everyone's supporting us, sharing our message, and basically helping out in whatever way they can. And it's made life so much easier for us. It's a lot less work than it was last year, thanks to the community.
Well, the cycle was more work, but it was nice having the support of everyone and to make it lighter and easier to get through.
Were there any moments this year or last year when you just thought, okay, we just finish and give up?
So this year was because we decided to go across the island rather than around. It basically for about 4 or 5 hours, it was just ascent.
7
7? Oh god,
7 hours of ascent.
And there were multiple moments where we couldn't cycle. We just had to get off our bikes and walk.
Yeah.
And we got to the Rogue Nublo, and at that point we were done. But luckily that was sort of the peak of our ascent, and after that it was all downhill. Last year though, we came face to face with a road that had collapsed basically, and it was the only road between two towns that we had to get through. So we had to spend about an hour dismantling our bikes, putting them in a car, taking them on the GC1, and then reassembling them on the other side. So that made life quite a lot easier, quite difficult. But apart from that, it was not too bad.
No, the 4 kilometer tunnel.
Oh,
That
God.
was like one of the best moments last year. There's something along the north side of the island. There's it's a hill. It's about 4 kilometer, 4% incline, and it is evil, evil to cycle up. But when you get to the top, there's a tunnel that you can cycle through, and there's no lights. All you see is the light at the end of the tunnel.
It's a 4 kilometer long tunnel as well. And we didn't have lights on our bikes. So when there were parts of the tunnel with no lights at all, we were cycling in pitch black, basically, and we had no clue. You hit the curb
Once.
once, nearly came off your bike. But yeah, we made it through.
Yeah.
Apart from that, there was the time you kissed
I
kissed a wall.
I nearly kissed a cliff face last year. I came off my bike. The road was slippery, and unfortunately, the tread on the bicycle, because the tire brakes had been worn out from all the braking going down hills. As soon as I hit the brakes to avoid a wet patch, I nearly kissed a cliff face. Came off my bike.
Lost a tooth.
Lost a tooth. And that for me was one of the moments where I was like, no, I'm done now. I'm done. I need to stop this now. And like, Emma's got off his bike, and like we just hugged, and then we just started laughing.
Once your knees was drenched in blood. Picking up your tooth. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be all right. Don't worry, it'll grow back.
How much kilometers you cycled this year?
This year was 185 kilometers in total.
Mm.
Yeah, on Friday so Emrys and I aren't really endurance long distance cyclists. Emrys cycles to the gym and back.
And then I do about an hour's worth of cycling at the gym most days as well.
I do more running than I like cycling once a year for the charity cycle over the last 2 years. And on Friday, we both cycled our furthest distance, which was just over 100 kilometers in one day.
We were originally planning to go via Las Palmas on Friday, but because of Carnival and time restraints, we decided to cut out that leg of the route.
Yeah.
So it was originally meant to be about 120 kilometers. So, but it ended up being just 100. And on Thursday, we did the 85, which, like I say, the 2/3 of the day was just pure ascent. And then the final third was all downhill as the sun was setting.
Yeah.
Through about 10 degrees weather,
Rain.
freezing, drizzle. then it went dark and pitch black. And once again, not learning from our mistakes last year, we didn't have lights on our bike, so we just
We
had.
just need them last year.
So we just had the support vehicles, headlights, basically guiding us.
Yeah.
But made it in the end.
Yeah. Like we like the support team this year. It's something we had last year. We had Jim and Bill who were supporting us last year, and they were really, really good. And unfortunately, they couldn't be with us this year. They had other commitments. But Jim had organised with 3 of the volunteers from Checkpoint, Silvio, Gilbert, and Renaud, and over 2 days. And whenever we stopped for a break, like Gilbert would get out the car with like electrolytes or bananas or candy, and just like
They were so supportive. Just everything we needed, they did for us.
It
so
was-
sweet of them.
yeah, like the Checkpoint volunteers, with what we've been doing for the last couple of years, and whenever we come on the island, we go out bucket rattling on Friday if we're here, and we really enjoy working with them. And the volunteers like see what we're trying to give back to the community, and it's like becoming a small family within a family, and it's nice and warming to have that experience and have those close ties with something like this.
How much you collected this year?
Last time we checked, it was just under 2,200 euros. Last year,
In total was 2-3.
last year, just after the bike ride, we raised about 1,650 euros, and that was just a few days after the bike ride. This year, it's 2,200, but we're still going to carry on collecting for Checkpoint throughout the year. Our goal is 4,000, and we're already over halfway there.
Yeah.
So hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have our target. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we've got one of our sponsors gave us money to get some pins produced, and we've been giving away the pins as a thank you to people who donate. And while we still have like excess pins now, we're gonna it's a commemorative pin. They're limited runs, and we just like it's a really nice little token of like you helped this with Checkpoint, and it's our way of saying thank you.
You both are from the United Kingdom. Are you planning to do a cycling maybe in the United Kingdom somewhere?
We'd like to do more cycling in general, whether it's in the UK, in Gran Canaria, but it's just finding the connections, the support team in that area to help us along that journey.
I mean, for me also, I run marathons, and last year, all of the fundraising I did when I was doing my marathons was Checkpoint.
I heard that people wants to join the cycling here in Gran Canaria. What do you think about it, and do you think that it could work out?
Depends who organises it, I guess. We'd love people to join with us. This year we had about. I had 2 people approach me. You had.
I had about four people approach me.
Yeah, so they
join.
expressed interest. Sadly, they all pulled out last minute. But they said that next year they would love to join us.
Yeah. So we're already thinking about a route. So we're going to try and learn from our lessons from the last 2 years. Try and learn from our lessons from the last 2 years about like the length of the route, the ascents, the descents, and try and make something that whoever joins us can either do a leg, which is like maybe say they do a 20k or 50Ks and turn around and go back to Mas Playa Indias. Or they do the entire cycle with us. And it'd be nice to have people along that journey and experience that. The Gran Canaria has so much to offer. It's not just the Yimbo and where everyone goes when they come here for Winter Pride or Fetish Week, Adventure Week. There's so much flora and fauna out there. The island is beautiful. The people that we cycle past all like wave and like say hello to us. And yeah,
It's a beautiful place, and we'd love it to share it with more people.
Yeah.